Hi there, I'm Amy and I do the teen programs at the York Library. And today we will be learning how to make these gnome ornaments. This is the December Take and Make kit for the teens in York, but I'll show you how to make it from scratch without the kit. We're making these in honor of the Jóla Bókaflóð or Yule Book Flood in Iceland. It's pretty cool, check it out. The gnomes pay homage to Icelandic Christmas folklore, most particularly to the Yule lads, 13 trickster trolls who wreak havoc this time of year. And yes, you're very astute, gnomes are not trolls, but they still count as Huldafolk, and they make cute ornaments. So with that, let's begin making our simple, adorable, no-glue, gnome-ish ornaments. Alright, to begin, you will need a long piece of yarn. I have this chunky yarn here that gives it a more natural look, and it helps hold the bead in place later. You'll need a matching shorter piece of yarn, a piece of twine, a wood bead. This one is 12 millimeters. You'll either need the felt hat that comes with the kit, or if you want to make the hat from scratch, I will show you how. Basically, you just need a rough triangle shape. It's about 3.5 inches on the sides there. And not necessary, but it does come with the kit. I have a mangled paper clip that I made into a useful tool that we will use later. Again, not necessary, but I did make it for a reason, and you will see why. Alright, first things first, we have our felt triangle here that we're going to make into the hat. And like I said, it's about 3.5 inches on that side. I just played around with it until I found a size that worked. And then I already have a needle and some thread that I have prepared. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it around, make it into a cone shape, and stitch it together. The great part about this is that it does not matter how perfect, or rather imperfect, your stitches are, because we're going for a more rustic look. And so if you mess up badly, you just say that it's rustic. You know, oh look, it looks primitive, isn't this wonderful? It looks like you did it on purpose, is what I'm saying. And this is a good thing, because I am actually not good at hand stitching at all. You can also just glue it together, but I will tell you from experience, unfortunately, glue does not work very well in this case. I have found that there are a lot of things that you can glue together and get glue all over and no one will be the wiser. You know, the glue dries invisible and who cares? Felt is not one of those mediums that you can do that with. Because of course I smeared glue all over and it looked terrible. And that was when I was trying to be nice and neat, so I just kind of skipped it and said, we're going to go for a non-glue option. I'm just roughly stitching these together in an X format. Trying to hold that cone shape in place while I do it. And also trying not to stitch it closed accidentally. Alright, and near the top here, I'm just going to put in a couple simple stitches to close it up. But I'm going to leave this part open, and you'll see why. That's where we're going to put our string through, or little twine through later. So I'm purposely leaving a hole there in the top. And now I'm just gonna tie off this and be done with it. Alright, and just like that, we have a happy little gnome hat. And I'm just gonna trim it up here a bit, make it look a little nice and even. All right, and so that is how you make the gnome hat, in case you were wondering. And now that we have that, we can move on to the next step. All right, next, take out your yarn, the long piece of yarn, and find an end point. There we are, on the end. And now all you're gonna do is you're gonna take it and you're gonna wrap it around your hand, but there's a slight trick to it. Not really a trick, just something I learned from having done this a few times. That I use my hand as the measurement here, because ultimately we want all the ends to end in the same place. So I'm going to use the bottom of my hand as the measurement. This is where I want the bottom to be. This is kind of, eventually this is going to be the top of the tassel, and this is where all the ends are going to be. So I'm going to line it up roughly with the bottom of my hand there, pinch it in place, and then wrap it around. And hopefully, what I want to have happen is that the other end here will end around the same place. And so, now that it's all wrapped around my hand, we're going to take the small piece of yarn and we're going to tie it off. And because this is the bottom, I'm going to tie it through here to make the top. We're going to slide that through and then kind of slide it there at the top. And now that I have it in place and I know where it should be, I'm just going to slide it off my hand and then tie this into a knot. And tie it nice and tight as you can, so that we don't have any stray yarn pieces going elsewhere. And also, it should happen that the yarn that you tie it off with will also be around the same length. That way it's just less trimming to do later. Alright, and so now we have this circle, this loop, and we're going to cut the ends off right here. So opposite side of where you tied it off, we're going to cut. So take your scissors, and I'm just going to put the scissors through the loops like that. Make sure I don't make any mistakes. You can't undo a cut. Alright, so we have the knotted end on that side and scissors there. And I'm just gonna cut them in half like that. So now it looks like we have a very poorly made tassel. Just like that. Alright, but I'm gonna leave those two separated to make it easier. Because now we're gonna bring out the twine. And this is gonna be what is going to do what's gonna be the loop that you hang on the tree or whatever. And so I'm just gonna tie it around right over where we tied off the yarn. And I'm gonna tie it way up here because, like I said, this is gonna be the loop that it hangs on. So just a little tie off there. Double knot, firmly in place. And then I'm gonna twist it around so that that knotted bit falls underneath and we'll never know that it was there. We just have a nice clean loop there sticking out. So now we have that in place, and we can bring back our hat, and we're gonna need our tool for this one. Now there's a little hook end here, and that is because that's the end that we're going to stick inside the little hole there at the top of the hat. Slide that hook in there, and you see it sticking out the bottom now. Take the loop and hook it on to the little tool thing, and then pull it through the hat. And it should so happen that we're just going to pull the hat down over the yarn. Don't rip it, but at the same time, you want it to be snugly in there so it doesn't easily come apart later. Just gonna tug it into place. And there we go. And then put the tool aside. We will use it again here momentarily. So now with that done, decide where you want the face to be on your gnome. Do you want like the stitches off to the side and you want that to be the face? Or do you want it in the back? Do you want it front on? Where do you want your gnome face to be? I like doing it a little off to the side here. So if this is my gnome face, I'm going to pick one of these strands here in the middle front, like one right off here, and this is what we're going to put the bead onto. So I choose you, you're going to be my strand, and now I'm going to, this is a thick piece of yarn here to fit in that tiny little hole. So to make it fit, or make it fit better, and so that it all comes through in one piece, I'm going to twist it as tightly as possible. And I'm just tucking in those loose ends there that I can't quite twist. Yeah, I'm going to redo that. I didn't like the grip that I had on it. Alright, so twist, 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 twist. I'm going to loop the loose ends in. And then I'm going to put it over the bead hole there. Hold it in place, and then bring out the tool again, but this time we're going to be going for the pointy end. And just jab it, use it to push the yarn into the hole. This can take some practice and some jabbing, but eventually you'll get it. The last gnome I made doing this, I could not get it to work. I was struggling to push it through the hole for like 30 minutes before I finally just pulled it out and started over. Sure enough, got it, you know, within 2 seconds the next time. So don't be afraid to pull it out and start again. Because if the yarn comes unraveled, it's not going to look terrible. It'll just look more like a beard. But now that I have it poking out there, I can take out the tool, discard it, we won't need it anymore, and then pull the yarn through the other end. And unravel it a bit, let it go back to its true form, and then slide the bead up the yarn until it's kind of tucked into the hat there and looks kind of sorta like a nose. But gnome's looking a little raggedy. So the last thing to do is to give him a little beard cut. I'm just gonna trim up these ends, make them look nice and dashing. And also I'm just gonna pull off some of these yarn bits that are distracting and don't look as much like a beard. I like to move or think of it in a curve or more of a V pattern. Because if you look at somebody who has a beard, it's usually longest in the very front and then kind of tapers off on the sides. So that's what I'm going to do. It's best to go in short little bits because, as I pointed out before, you cannot undo a cut. So clip off little bits at a time. That way you don't make a mistake I have definitely done before, where you hack off a large chunk and then go, "Ugh, that's a bad hairdo." And I think that'll do just lovely. And so then, there you have it. A happy little gnome. That's it for me today. Make sure to tag the library in any pictures you post of your ornaments at York County Library. Thanks for creating with me, and happy holidays!